Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Dr. Card Explains. Oh, just gonna open my microscope up there, make myself look a little bit more professional. So, thank you for everyone who continues to watch my videos. Please do remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Today, we're going to be going over neutralization of acids and salt production. So, as always, grab a pen, grab some paper, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so some quick key content of some key terminology in this topic. So an acid is a chemical that releases the H plus ion. A base is a chemical that can neutralize an acid, and when you neutralize an acid, you're forming water. An alkali is a soluble metal hydroxide that can neutralize an acid. So really quickly, the difference between a base and an alkali is essentially that bases are generally insoluble and alkalis are often soluble. A salt is the product from a metal reacting with an acid. A neutralization reaction occurs where water and salt are formed. And state symbols, just to really quickly remind you, S, L, G and AQ, solid, liquid, gas and aqueous. Remember, aqueous means dissolved in water. So quite a lot of key content there, some keywords for some terminology, so do make sure you make notes of these to make sure you understand as we are going through some of these words. Okay, so next bit then, we're going to look at some common acids and their salts. So I'd really recommend you write this table down to make sure you get this content in. So we've got the acid here, we've got hydrochloric, sulfuric and nitric. These are really important acids to remember, and you might also want to make a note that the HCl, so hydrochloric acid, forms a H+, because all acids form H+, and you have a Cl-. Whereas this one is H+, and you have SO4 minus 2, and you've got two of those hydrogens to counteract that minus 2 charge on the sulfate. And your nitric acid again is H+, and then it's NO3 minus for your nitrate. So all of the salts that are formed from these acids will be a chloride. So if you reacted it with sodium, it would make sodium chloride. If you reacted sodium with sulfuric acid, it would make sodium sulfate. If you reacted sodium with nitric acid, it would make sodium nitrate, or in this instance, if you reacted it with potassium, it would make potassium nitrate. So the last word there, you just change to ate or ide, depending on what acid you're reacting it with. Okay, so there are 4 acid-metal reactions that you need to know about. So the first one is a metal plus an acid, and that makes a salt plus hydrogen. So some people like to remember this by spelling out MASH like this. Okay, and so an example that we could use here is let's take lithium. We react it with an acid, so let's react it with HCl. Over here, that's going to make our salt, so this one's going to be lithium chloride, and then we'd have hydrogen gas. So what you would physically see, you would see hydrogen gas forming, you'd see some fizzing. Then just quickly going to balance that up, so you'd put a 2 there, a 2 there, and a 2 there. So that's the first metal acid reaction you need to know about. The next one we need to know is a metal hydroxide. Now, just to remind you, a hydroxide is OH minus. So when you have this group attached to the element, that's a hydroxide. Now, a metal hydroxide is also known as an alkali. Now, these are soluble, means they will dissolve in water. So if we reacted that with an acid, what you're going to make, again, you're going to make a salt, but this time you're going to make water. So we're going to make a neutralization reaction. We're neutralizing our acid. We're using a metal hydroxide, neutralizing that acid. So an example here would be something like sodium hydroxide. There's that OH there for the hydroxide. Plus, let's use, let's go for some H2SO4. H2SO4 is our acid. There's our hydrogen. And so therefore we would make sodium sulfate, Na2SO4. And remember, it's Na2 because SO4 is -2 and sodium's in group 1, so you need 2 sodiums to get that +2 charge, and you would have water there. Let's just check that's balanced. So we've got 2 hydrogens there, so we're going to have to put a 2 here. So that's 2 hydrogens, 4 hydrogens. So we put 2 there, 2 sodiums. Lovely stuff. That's now balanced. Really well done if you got that right. Okay, the next reaction we're going to talk about is a metal oxide. Now, this is an example of a base. These are insoluble. I'm going to react it with our acid again. And so if it's a base, it's going to neutralize your acid. So we're going to make a salt plus water because we're neutralizing our acid. So a metal oxide, let's take magnesium, O, so metal oxide, plus our acid, HCl. That's going to give MgCl2, because magnesium's in group 2, so it's plus 2, and then chlorine's minus 1, so you need 2 of them, plus H2O, and then we're going to put a 2 there to balance that up. Okay. Finally, last one we're going to do is a metal carbonate plus an acid. Now again, a metal carbonate is also a type of base, so both these here are bases because they're neutralizing acids. And therefore, if we're neutralizing our acid, what are we going to make? We're going to make a salt plus water, but because it's a carbonate, we're also going to make carbon dioxide. And so here, let's go for potassium carbonate. K2CO3, so a carbonate is CO3, just like hydroxide is OH, carbonate is CO3. So K2CO3 plus HCl goes to, and we're going to make a salt, is KCl plus H2O plus CO2. Then we're going to quickly check, see if that's balanced. So we've got 2 potassiums there, so we're going to put a 2 there, 2 on that side, that's better, and 2 there, 2 hydrogens, 2 chlorines, and then you've got your carbon and 1, 2, 3 oxygens. Perfect. Okay, so those are the 4 acid metal reactions. So you're not going to get asked kind of these generic questions. You're more likely to be given something like sodium oxide, and you need to identify it's a metal oxygen, it's a metal oxide. And so if you're reacting with an acid, what's it going to make? It's going to make a salt plus your water. Okay, so they're really important reactions to be able to identify what's going to be made in the products. Okay, so let's have a look at some examples then, see if we can do this. So what I want you to do is have a go now. You've got sodium plus sulfuric acid. So I want you to essentially try and complete this equation, come up with the symbol equation as well if you can. Okay, so sodium then. So first of all, I'm thinking sodium is a metal plus an acid. And therefore, what do I know? Metal plus an acid is a salt plus hydrogen. Okay, and now we're going to start finishing off the word equation. So sodium plus sulfuric acid. And remember, it's important to know the names of these salts as well. So sodium plus sulfuric acid, what's the salt going to be? It's going to be sodium sulfate plus hydrogen. And therefore our symbol equation is going to be Na plus H2SO4 goes to Na2SO4 plus H2. Balance that up, double check, got 2 there, so we're going to put a 2 for sodium, 2 hydrogens there, 2 hydrogens there, sulfate, lovely, that's looking pretty good now. Really well done if you got that right. Okay, next one then, so you've got potassium hydroxide plus hydrochloric acid. So what have we got here? We have got a metal hydroxide. Remember, that's also known as an alkali. And so we're going to go plus an acid, and that gives salt plus water. Okay, now, so we go potassium hydroxide plus hydrochloric acid. So remember, in the last example we had sulfuric acid, so that makes sulfate. That's because it's got oxygen in. This one doesn't, so what's this going to make? It's going to be potassium chloride plus water. And so here then, potassium hydroxide is KOH, because remember OH is a hydroxide, plus HCl goes to KCl plus H2O. quick look to see if that's balanced. 1 hydrogen, 2 hydrogens there, so we're going to put a 2 there. And then we need to put a 2 here, and we need to put a 2 here to balance that up. Really well done if you got those right. Okay, so today then what we've done is we've named and write the formula for hydrochloric, sulfuric and nitric. Remember, really important that you remember those. We've described the differences between an alkali and a base. We will go into more detail in another video on that, but we have briefly gone over that. And we've described how to make a salt by reacting a metal with an acid and write the equations and spoken about the state symbols earlier as well. Thank you very much for watching. Please do go through my other videos for more GCSE science help. And remember, whenever you need help, Dr. Kyle explains.